Boo! Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I was just reading an article about the next 4 Avatar movies. 4! Boo! Anyway, what's up? What's going on? I'm Mike, here with a quick intro to the episode. If you can't tell, this is our Halloween episode, so happy Halloween, everybody, even though this is coming out the day after Halloween. Close enough. We're obviously reviewing Halloween this week, a retcon sequel to a movie also called Halloween. Just don't think too long about it. Joining us this week is friend of the podcast, Joe Manno, host of the O Word podcast. And speaking of, I was also a guest on O Word recently. Joe and I talked about the job hunt, road trips, holiday parades, and much more. So definitely check out that episode and more at owordpodcast.wordpress.com. Other than that, I'm just going to keep mysteriously hyping the new Oscar prediction video series launching soon under the How Many Fingers banner and available exclusively on our YouTube page. More details to come soon when we're ready for a proper announcement, but for now, just make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. What I can tell you now is that it will be a data-driven Oscar prediction video series, where I'll take you through the award season week by week, following the ups and downs of each contender and updating our predictions. If you're interested in the Oscars, or if you just want to sound smart around the water cooler, be sure to subscribe now so you don't miss the launch. Anyway, enough talking. Time for more talking. Here's our drunk review of Halloween featuring Joe Manno. Enjoy. Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Joe.
And you're listening to How Many Fingers Am I Holding Up, the podcast. And this week, we're reviewing Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to How Many Fingers Am I Holding Up, featuring two guys getting snapped into a Slim Jim and reviewing movies in a weekly podcast form.
And that came to us from Lindsay Daly. Thank you, Lindsay Daly.
Snapped into a Slim Jim. Usually it's snapped like, commanding you, snap into a Slim Jim.
Right. And
this time it's being done to you. You're getting snapped into a Slim Jim.
Yeah, that's true.
Switching it up. All right, changing the narrative. All right. If you have any further synonym suggestions that switch up the narrative, you can send those to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, email, Tumblr, Snapchat. Hit us up on Snapchat. We've got one of those.
We do.
I don't log in, but we have one. I'll read it in like 2 years when I log in again. But let us delay no further betwixt us for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th time on this podcast.
Wow.
Joe Manno, everybody.
What's up, guys? It's been a really long time.
Welcome back.
I think it's probably been like about a year.
Yeah, when did Thor Ragnarok come out?
I feel like it was October, November last year.
Oh, okay.
Maybe September.
Was that last year or was it?
That was last year.
Yeah.
Or was it in the winter?
It wasn't this year.
It was last year.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Sabri was like, she showed me a tweet the other day, and even though she's never seen it, she's like, isn't it wild that like Black Panther came out this year? That seems like
so
over a
long
year
ago.
Yeah. But I'm more excited to do this movie than I was to do Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because Thor Ragnarok fucking sucked.
We've had you on some shitty movies.
Yeah, no, I'm like the ringer. I'm okay with it. I think it's fun just to do any movie.
Brooklyn was okay. Jungle Book, shitty movie.
Yeah.
The Shallow, shitty movie. Silence, great movie.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok, you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a good mix. Like if I only did good movies, that wouldn't be that fun.
Mm-hmm.
If I only did bad movies, that would get annoying after a little while.
Yeah, that's like people who, when I ask them to be on this podcast and they have like a movie in mind that they want to review.
Yeah.
And there's no other reason besides like, well, I really like this movie or I think this movie looks good or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's not how this happens.
And then we get biased results.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Guests are only coming on for movies that they're interested in.
You know what I think are the most boring episodes of this podcast? Like 5-finger movies, where we're just like, the movie is so good. It always ends up being like an hour.
Even though like our most listened to is Call Me By Your Name, where that's all we do is just praise
that
movie.
That's true. But the episodes will often be like under an hour. Like I'm just trying to think of like Good Time. Like I love that movie, but that was like kind of a boring review for me, just because I was just kind of like, it's good and I like it. It's good and I like it. it's good, and I think I like it.
Yeah, you can only like praise something for so long before it's like, all right, shut the fuck up.
The only interesting part of those episodes is where you're like, I could have done without this. You know, like, I don't know.
Well, you heard it here first. Only tune in for the shitty review.
Well, if you check our website and see a 5-star review.
I remember when we did Silence, because that was probably like almost 2 years ago. And there was like one part of the movie that we spent like 40 minutes debating.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, you were so
like
sad
Vietnam
that this thing happened. Yeah. And it was like 40 minutes. Me and Mike were like, that's not what's happening in this movie.
It's such a struggle to, I don't know. There's something like that where I feel like we all have that, where it's just kind of like, you want to let it go, but you also don't want to be wrong. So then it turns into like a 45-minute discussion of like how many boat trips were actually in this movie. And it's just kind of like the audience is like, oh my fucking God.
It's like that thing that kicks
Who
in
cares?
when you're
3 or
talking to
4.
somebody and you call them a bad driver, or like you say like, yeah, that person's a bad driver, and then they find out and they're like, I'm not a bad driver. Like everybody gets offended if you call them a bad driver.
Right. It's so minuscule.
Yeah, like who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just like that. You're just holding on to it. Like, no, I saw that in this movie. I know it happened.
That's like
I'm a good driver, you motherfucker.
That's
yeah.
100% of my arguments. I'm like, it's like so inconsequential.
100% of your arguments are you wrong.
I don't want to be wrong.
It's your defense mechanism.
Yeah.
No, no, it's not. Oh, God. Anyway, Joe Manno, of course, from the O Word podcast. Where can people check that out, and what's that all about? If they haven't listened in 2 years.
It's a interview podcast. I just kind of rip off Mark Maron or Joe Rogan or something. Both of you guys have been on it. Joseph's probably been on it more than 7 times, right?
Yeah.
It's probably like 10 times.
I think I hold the record.
You did a 3-parter.
Oh, yeah. I count that as one.
That was,
but it was just too long.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah, listening back to that one was rough.
Well, it was a really great time, and I love having those discussions. But yeah, near the end, there's a lot of like really funny things. Like,
yeah, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's a. I say horrible like from like if you want to like think I'm an intelligent person. This is a horrible thing for you to listen to, but it was for entertainment value.
I think that's a great episode because it was just us hanging out, like, and we would have had that conversation whether we were recording or not because we were just sitting and drinking.
Yeah, we did that a lot.
Yeah, we used to back when we were friends.
Yeah,
now we're just coworkers.
Awkward.
But you can find the podcast wherever on iTunes and online. O Word Podcast. Just Google it. I'm sure it'll come up
wherever podcasts are sold.
Yeah,
check it out.
Streamed or rented.
If you want to see me and Mike not talk about movies.
Yeah, but I think we talk about movies on all those episodes at some point. Yeah.
So we're gonna drink some beer this week, of course, like we do every week, and we're drinking Post Road Pumpkin Ale from Brooklyn Brand Brewery. Brooklyn Brewery.
Brooklyn Brewery in Utica, New York. Pop this.
Yeah. This
Perfect
is
for
one of my favorite pumpkin beers. It's not like too over the top with it. It's got a good blend of like the spices that make you think of pumpkin.
Well,
yeah,
I could definitely taste that pumpkin. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'm crazy about pumpkin stuff the way people are. Like, I had a pumpkin cheesecake the other week.
Right.
That was pretty banging, but I prefer just a regular ass cheesecake.
Speaking of cake.
Oh, hey,
yeah,
perfect
also
segue.
true. Yeah.
Perfect segue.
It's been a while since Rowan, Mike's girlfriend, has presented us with the treat.
Yeah, if you're watching on video right now, there should be an overlay of the cake before we destroyed it to slice it up. But my beautiful girlfriend Rowan made us a happy HMF Oween cake, which it's got 2. If you're listening on audio, it's got 2 graves made out of Rice Krispie treats that are for Joe and Mike, with bottles next to them of alcohol.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool looking. I think she's got like a Oreo cookie for like the turned up ground where it was buried. I think it's orange inside. I'm gonna take my first bite.
It is orange. And it's not that like intrusive in the cake, you know? But it's definitely noticeable. It's weird.
Yeah, it's not like super citrusy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't even taste it that much.
It's mostly the chocolate. That's good. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Well done.
Very well done.
So now you guys are going to listen to us eat for 5 minutes.
Who has the notes for this one?
I believe it should be me, right? Because we're releasing this
Yeah.
after Venom.
Are you saying you don't have notes?
I'm saying
It should be me. In a perfect world. Let me give you the IMDb description.
Yeah, what is that IMDb description?
Set you off running. Laurie Strode. It's the first time I've seen her name like written out. I was trying to figure out what the hell they were saying this entire movie. We'll get into it. I haven't actually seen any of the Halloween movies. Laurie Strode comes to her final confrontation with Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. I like it.
Yeah, same. So, Halloween is directed by David Gordon Green. David Gordon Green has directed. Man, is it obvious that I don't have notes? I wrote notes for the wrong movie. I wrote notes for Venom.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he worked with Danny McBride and Jody Hill on like Eastbound and Down and all that shit. They're like a team together.
Oh, so we do have Joe notes.
And
this week.
Danny McBride.
Joe Manno notes.
Danny McBride was also a writer on the movie. I think Jody Hill might have been also, which I think. I mean, we'll get more into, but I think it showed with the weird comic relief that kind of
without getting into it, I do know that this was like Danny McBride's like passion project was
Really?
to bring this back, because we talked about that. Like this had been sort of in the works since we reviewed Get Out with Sean Henry when he was on early last year. They were talking about this, and I completely forgot about it. I remember him saying like, "Oh yeah, they're going to do Halloween where they're going to like retcon the rest of the series,
Right?
And just forget that those sequels ever happened. And it's just a sequel to Halloween that's called Halloween."
Right. Have they all been called? There's a lot of them.
Well, there's another one that's a remake. There's the Rob Zombie remake.
Yeah, that was like the remake and reboot.
This is the 11th installment.
Yeah.
In the franchise.
How many of those are like? Is there like Michael Myers versus Freddy, or is it?
No, I think it's
Halloween
like
doesn't go into that.
No, I think it's just like Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3. Then there's like Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection.
H2O, yeah.
Then they like remade them with Rob Zombie, Halloween 2. Like I don't think it's done the same thing as those other franchises have.
Are you a big fan of the franchise, John?
I like them more than those other ones, like Freddy Krueger and stuff. I haven't seen the original since I was in high school or something. But I think Michael Myers is a great villain. Like he's creepy as fuck.
Oh, definitely.
And he's like, sorry, I just destroyed that cake. So,
It's gone.
well, you guys were talking, so I figured it was a good time to
Get it in.
chow down. But yeah, so I mean, I think I've seen most of the Halloweens at some point, you know. But like, I don't think most of them are that good. Like Halloween H2O, I think is trash probably. The Rob Zombie reboot remake thing, those were cool.
Oh, see, I don't think I really liked. I was talking about that last night. I'm not sure if I like the Rob Zombie one. Is that the one where he has like metal hair and he's in jail or whatever? Like he's like hair down to here or something.
Oh,
wait, maybe.
Misinterpreted what you meant by metal hair.
I think so. Rob Zombie made
planks of metal, nailing it.
like Hellraiser or something. Right. Well, he made 2 Rob Zombie, and one of them was better than the other.
Okay,
Again, I like, you know, how
Honestly,
often do you watch? You're not going to watch Halloween movies in March.
I've seen so many Halloween movies, and I don't remember anything from them. I'm sorry if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, "Oh, what the fuck, man?"
Yeah, no, I know, because even watching this movie, they keep talking about shit, and I'm like, I just don't really remember what happened in the first one. Like minus the big like plot points.
But yeah, I mean, just previously, this director has directed, George Washington, All the Real Girls, Undertow, Snow Angels, Pineapple Express, Your Highness, The Sitter, Prince Avalanche, Joe, Manglehorn, Our Brand is Crisis, and Stronger. It's really, and then again,
Seen like one of those movies.
Yeah, it's really an odd batch of movies. And then again, he's also been a part of like Vice Principals, Eastbound and Down, and everything.
So he
like
has
you were
worked
saying
with Danny McBride a whole lot.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like a team, the 3 of them, those
Okay.
3 guys, and they kind of do everything together. And I think all 3 of them again worked on this one. But I actually think again, we'll get more into this shit, but I think the comedy chops kind of translate kind of well to like campy.
I was hoping for a little more.
Yeah, it was kind of in and out.
I have, again, a lot of this, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, well, I haven't seen the original, so I don't know what is just trying to be true to the style of the original. And I mean, I know it's a slasher, but I don't know if it's how campy it is or if it's, like there was a decent amount of humor, I think, like sprinkled throughout this, but then it would also just go to parts where there was no humor and it was just straight up dark and, scary or gruesome at least.
Yeah.
In this. There wasn't like a blend, really. It was just kind of like, here it's scary time, here it's funny time. I don't know if that's...
I just like that the comedy in it wasn't forced like Freddy Krueger bullshit comedy. Like,
no, yeah.
Or like, it wasn't like comic book comedy, you know?
Garbage day!
Yeah, like it wasn't any of that bullshit. Like it was actually funny,
like
weird little...
unintentional. Freddy Krueger is like weird, intentional...
Freddy Krueger's like horror Deadpool.
And stuff,
Yeah.
It's like horror Deadpool.
Or it's just like, that, remember the Pete Holmes like episode where he has, what's his name? Josh Rubin?
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like doing the Freddy Krueger impression the entire time. They're like, brought you here, bitch.
Yeah, because Freddy Krueger could have been fucking awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then, it's just, they turn it into like this weird, like,
he does end
corny.
like a lot of things with like, you bitch.
Yeah.
Which is so strange to hear out of like a haunting figure.
Yeah, like
I don't know. Yeah.
Ghoulish zombie man.
But yeah, I like this movie. Just again, I've seen a bunch of Halloween movies, but I'm so kind of unfamiliar with this whole franchise. It feels like there's so many other people that are much more familiar with it, and obviously, like somebody like Danny McBride, like loves these movies, would love to like recreate
But
this.
see, like you said, I think it's dope that they threw away all the bullshit and they were like, let's get back to basics here. Let's just make a sequel to the original. Because I think after the original, they all kind of got like, I think the original is noted as being the best one. So it's cool to like.
Because then it starts, from my understanding, it starts to get like more supernatural after that, right?
Yes.
Like whereas the original is just he's kind of like an indestructible slasher villain.
Yeah.
It starts to get like kind of ghostly and weird after that.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
There are parts. I mean, if we just want to jump right into it.
Plot points here. Let's hit the plot points.
So I feel like the first thing I can remember is like
Fucking podcasters.
her.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about that. Let's get that out of the way.
Giving podcasters a bad name.
And Joe and I were like literally talking about that like as soon as he got here, and he's like, fucking podcast part. And it was just, it's so confusing too, because that opening scene is kind of strange. It's kind of like they get everybody all riled up and there's like never really any payoff. I kind of like that, but it's also
It's just like they're building up like tension in terms of sound, but it didn't seem like there was actually any necessarily real tension in the movie.
Right.
Like you just all right. So I hate these characters because I don't think they're like really true to like what true crime podcasters are actually like.
Right.
They're annoying to listen to with their accents. Like they should have been. Like it should have been, in my opinion, like a parody of podcasters rather than these like super serious, like British, like, oh, we're award-winning, like investigative journalists, as they say it. But then they're shitty fucking journalists because they're like at like the mental institution or whatever, and like his style of like reporting is like, say something, say something.
I know it's like you're fucking out of control, dude. And
then they paid her. They paid her off.
Right? Yeah. No. It's so strange, like that. In front of like Jamie Lee Curtis's house, like when they're just kind of trying to reason with her through like her entire security setup or whatever, and they go, and they're caught so flat-footed, and like I liked that because like it seemed like they were like kind of these like not prepared like people, like not well seasoned kind of like podcasters, kind of like it was. I liked
that's
that
what they seemed like.
I liked that jokiness kind of it. But then again, like
they say that they're award winning.
I know. Literally in the next scene, they kind of like try to be like, the writers are kind of like, they try to be like, oh man, imagine if this was like Sarah Koenig or something. Like,
it should have been like younger people,
yes,
who are like caught onto the whole like true crime podcast wave and are like, we live nearby Haddonfield, Illinois. We can go fucking like interview Michael Myers and Laurie Strode and like get in on it and be way in over their heads.
Yeah, I just think it was like either have that be an actual point of the storyline, or have it be a joke in the beginning. Yeah, and it was neither.
It was there just to have an element, but a way for Michael Myers to get his mask.
But
back.
you could literally eliminate that.
You could find a million other ways to get his mask.
That part had nothing to do with anything, and they. Spoiler alert, they kill those motherfuckers like immediately. The first chance they get, those motherfuckers are dead. I thought they were going to be like kind of following along the entire movie.
He doesn't, again.
And then that bathroom scene was pretty crazy. Like when he walks in on the ground in the bathroom.
It was fine when he died. Because that's when the movie really starts to ramp up.
Yeah, but...
Like, okay, here we go.
But like, why spend the 10 minutes, 15 minutes getting to know these characters when it's just like, oh, they're just like a device to get a fucking mask to the guy.
And even when we have these... Well, what I don't like is that like when he's like screaming kind of at Michael Myers and holding the mask like you like maybe you would
Michael!
Or he's like obsessed with like these... He's obsessed with this, like, as he proclaims, but then again, they get inside and it's just kind of like, oh, we've done so many other projects, and this is just our new project, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, they want to, it seems like two different drafts of, like, the film in this, and then also, like, I would love something, like, when they get killed in the bathroom, it's so anticlimactic. Again, I guess we're in spoiler territory, kind of, and, like, he is so more eccentric, and she's more of a grounded one, at least that's kind of how they're kind of like body acting it. I just wanted so much for him to like kind of have his fucking like head smashed in, and for him to be like, oh my god, I'm dying from Michael Myers, like, like it's
to be excited about it.
Yeah, kind of like, isn't there
they didn't really settle on anything that was worth watching for them as characters.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't like how they go to Laurie's place and she's like, what do you want? Like acting tough. And they're like, well, we think we could shed new light on your story the way we shed new light on every other story. And it's like, what new... And she even says it. She's like, what new light? Like, he was crazy and he killed a bunch of people.
They really could have done without the award-winning journalist line, because they clearly aren't, because they don't make... Like, Shane Dawson does a better job of interviewing Jake Paul than they do interviewing these people. Because, like, they don't make any of their people they're interviewing feel comfortable. They literally yell at Michael Myers. And then when they're interviewing Laurie, they, like, jump right into, like, attack mode. And I know part of that is like they're trying to accomplish whatever in a small portion of the script, but like I don't know, it feels really weird to have them just jump in and be like, well, what about you? You've had 2 divorces and you got your kid taken away. And
I didn't get that shit.
You're not gonna get any answers from anyone talking to them like that.
It also gives a bad name to like public radio, kind of. It's kind of like those are the people who are very carefully, like, money comes from like very careful places. They don't get like it seems like it should have been more of, again, like completely amateur or some like corrupt kind of like, I don't know, exploitative TMZ kind of like bullshit. And again, no, exactly what you said, where it's kind of like, what new light are you going to shed on this? And like, it was kind of like,
there's no new evidence.
Why the open and shut case? We know he did it.
Yeah, why the fuck are you here? They didn't even say anything about him like being transferred from one place to another, really. I mean, maybe that could have been something. Like, the state has lost interest, and that could have been part of their piece. I don't know. But it is, like, I was waiting for them to, like, kind of turn around and be like, what new light? And be like, oh, well, they're redoing the Halloween movie franchise, and that's why we're here, It's 40th anniversary.
New light. Wink, wink. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like a half-assed, like, just way to get the story moving. But they literally could have just started the movie with him being transported. It would have been the exact same fucking thing.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah,
it didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah,
in like the like bus crash scene. So like the bus crashes and they have like the people in the truck going up on that. That was kind of strange.
That was funny though. The kid's like, I just want to dance, Dad.
I couldn't tell if that was like, was that supposed to be like a tone deaf joke? Like,
I think it was just
like
supposed to be
like, are we supposed to laugh that he likes dance? Or I couldn't tell because nobody in my theater did laugh. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be that or the writers trying to be like, all right, we want these two sort of backwoods characters, but we don't want to write stereotypical ones. So the kid dances and the dad's okay.
No, I think it was
because the dad isn't even like, oh, you're queer, like dancing or whatever. He's like, really, you mean it? You'd rather go dancing than like hunting? I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be like sentimental or
no. I think it was
a joke.
I think it was definitely.
But nobody laughed. It didn't work. Like they didn't play it up enough. If that was what it was meant to be.
I don't
know.
Out of it.
It was just like
funny.
a new weird kind of modern. I don't know. They were trying to kind of spin a lot of like nuanced modern things into this. Where obviously something like that wouldn't work when the original Halloween came out. I don't know. I love the kid that they casted. I love like his fucking like really hoarse voice.
Yeah.
Like he was really great. Yeah, and then I don't know. It was just there's so much I don't know whether I like the telling and not showing like all the elements that have to do with like a lot in this movie. Like just kind of like never saw the bus crash. Maybe like they filmed that and it wasn't okay. We never really see this kid's dad die. I understand that. You want to build tension, kind of.
Yeah, you don't even really see his body or anything. Well,
I think that's because that's before they they're just trying to establish that Michael Myers is free. I don't think they want like the movie to really ramp up until he.
But they kill the kid.
Well, that was the point I wanted to get to. Is that like I'm not familiar with the franchise, but it seems to me from what I can see in this movie that Michael Myers sort of has a I don't kill kids thing. Because he walks right past like the baby later in the movie.
I thought that was a cop out. I thought he was gonna. I literally started laughing because I was like, he's gonna kill the shit out of that baby.
Is that a thing in the other movies? Like
I don't think so.
Or they just have never put him in a situation.
I mean, he has like a moral compass
because he doesn't like. They have the funny kid that she's babysitting at the one house.
Or just one.
I think he would have killed that kid though.
Right.
But he was preoccupied with the girl.
I'm confused why like. Her boyfriend died. He seemed like he was like ready to get the fuck out of there, kind of.
We're jumping ahead.
Okay,
slow down.
But also, yeah,
we're talking about killing kids here.
I kind of would have been, they killed the kid, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And then he started walking towards the baby, and I was like, let's fucking do this, man. Let's fucking kill this baby.
I know.
Like,
I thought,
what's worse? God, especially, I mean, nothing. There's no redeeming qualities about Michael Myers that the filmmaker's not trying to be like, maybe Michael Myers is just kind of like misunderstood, kind of like, no, there's no inkling of that.
Killing the baby would have been too far.
Dude, I disagree. I think horror movies are scared to kill kids and scared to kill like, like.
I thought killing the kid was a step in the right direction.
Yep.
But why put that fucking baby scene in there? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was to be like, oh my god, he's gonna kill the baby, and I literally thought they were gonna show him walk in the room, turn right to where the baby was, and then I thought, the crying was gonna stop, and then cut to the next scene. I thought they were gonna do it somehow like that,
and that would have been because like there's other times in this movie like you're saying where they stuff happens off screen, and I'm like, why? If you are gonna kill a baby, which I don't think you should, but if you are gonna kill a baby in the movie, that's the way to do it. We don't need to see it.
Fuck it, man. I think this is Halloween. This is Michael Myers.
Joe wants him,
He's on a spree.
Like,
no, dude, I don't want to see him kill the baby necessarily, but I just think in real life, that guy probably kills the baby.
If you're fucking gonna play sound bites of a decorated psychiatrist being like he's pure evil and he needs to be put down, that's the only solution to this man's life.
That motherfucker kills the baby.
That guy kills babies, and it's not even a conscious decision. Yeah. It's just fucking death. It's not like, alive, I'm going to spare you because you are defenseless.
The way I would look at it, though, is like if you look at like his history, like he killed someone first when he was 6. He killed his like 16-year-old sister, wherever old she was. And like, I think his whole life has kind of been chasing that sort of feeling from doing that. So it would make sense to me if he's not killing kids because like
that's what he was.
His formation, he was like imprinted or whatever you want to call it at that age of killing people who are, they're not kids anymore, even though they're younger.
Yeah, see, I think that's not a bad point. I kind of thought about that throughout the movie, but I mean, he killed, because jumping ahead again, I thought he was going to not kill the friend because the friend was like, have you ever had a girl who didn't want you and there's no way you could get her?
I thought he was going to walk out behind the tree when he said that, like, oh.
Like, I kind of thought, like...
Someone understands.
Yeah, like, oh. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I've been trying to kill this lady for 40 years. I haven't been able to. I know exactly how you feel.
Right.
But it wasn't like that. So I don't think... I mean,
this kid is drunk. He's defenseless. He thinks this person is somebody else. It's kind of like it's all of your outs, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like...
I thought there was going to be something weird there.
That's kind of one of the problems, too, is like again, it's just not killing the baby. That's the inconsistency. But it's like he's either one thing or he's the other thing. He's either completely evil and he has no fucking rules, or he might have some sort of moral compass in his killing.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, this is the fucking Michael Jordan of murder. This is game 7 of the NBA Finals.
I don't necessarily think that he has...
He is on a fucking run. He's got a triple-double, and he is killing everybody, you know?
I don't necessarily think that he does or should have a moral compass in terms of the type of killer that he is. I think it's more just about, like, you know, like a serial killer has their methods, and, like, they do that because that's the way that they know how to get into... You know, what turns them on, essentially, in a killing sense.
What makes them come.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And for him, he doesn't really portray like it's some kind of like sexual thing. For him, I think it's just he did it when he was 6. It's all he knows. He never fully formed as a human. That's why he doesn't talk. He doesn't, you know, have any kind of
But that's one of the cool things about Halloween, though, is we don't fucking know what his deal is.
I didn't need the...
It wasn't like a ruiner or anything,
when
but
you,
it's just...
When you say it's like, it's not sexual, that's what, like, kind of what I don't like about the one flashback scene that they do, where it's like a POV Michael Myers.
Of him killing his sister?
Yeah.
She's got just huge tits.
She's like...
That seemed like a throwback to like the wrong type of like horror movie.
Yeah, that was like, whoa.
There's a lot of times in horror movies where I feel they're just like, all right, we got to get some boobs in here to meet like the quota for horror movie.
Yeah, that just felt like, hey,
if we're gonna update Halloween, like
we're not even gonna show her face. We're just gonna show her tits.
Well, yeah. It's also like we're working with an R rating. Like we could have some titties in here. Like you know, it's one of those things. And it was just like, if you're gonna show boobs, like show like
some dick. I know. Just show some dick.
No, it's like kind of like show like the hot teen couple hooking up. Kind of. It's like. That's like that's a time like
they were dry fucking.
Right, yes, they were dry fucking.
They specifically said they were gonna dry fuck.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just kind of, it was, the sister thing was weird. I think he was 12. But like, again, still fully forming.
I thought they said 6.
No, he was 6.
Really?
He was 6.
Okay.
They said 6.
Unless I misheard and they were 16 for the sister. But
No, it was 6. They said it like over and over again. Literally like 100 times they talked about it.
Well, yeah.
Did you guys watch the movie?
Okay, I know I'm wrong, but I think you're wrong. And I think there were 4 boats!
But yeah, so I had the same reaction though. When he kills that kid, I was like, all right, this shit's got no rules. We're ready to go. Let's do it.
This movie doesn't really commit to a whole lot of things.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
It's just kind of like a plain retelling. It's just kind of like, I mean, it's got a new twist to it. But,
I mean,
but yeah,
I think it is gorier than, at least, I don't know about the Rob Zombie one. Maybe not even close to the Rob Zombie one.
Yeah, I don't really remember.
I'm assuming that's pretty gory.
Rob
if
Zombie
I know my man Rob.
Like, blood is lube. And
But like when they're at like the gas station before the podcasters themselves are killed, and like we're just panning across and we see the one guy who's literally like smashed into the table with
that
like,
was cool.
That was when I was like, okay, like now like all bets are off. Like this is going to be a gory, violent movie in a good way. Like because I think. Not being someone that grew up with the Halloween franchise, I think Michael Myers is kind of a boring villain, just in terms of, like, he's definitely creepy, but over like an hour and a half plus movie format, he walks really slow. Like you can just outrun him if you want to.
That's one of the things I find that's creepy is he does walk really slow, and you could outrun him.
But I think
does.
I think it makes it boring in the context of it. And they're creative with ways that they. You know, like you're never really able to just run away from him. The situations that you find yourself in.
Right.
Yeah.
But I liked that they kind of took it up a notch. It wasn't just him stabbing people in creative ways with a knife. Like I really liked the like brute force of him, like just smashing people's heads.
Oh, definitely. Right.
like just falling apart like pumpkins,
stomping on the head. Yeah.
I think that makes it a little more exciting and kind of updated for like our modern tastes in gore.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? There's a lot of I don't know, like for something like you know, Danny McBride's like passion project or something. I thought like a lot of this, and there's so many people writing this movie, I thought it was like kind of like weakly written, kind of. It was just like
it felt rushed.
I would kind of like, I kind of really cringed at the one part where it presents like a really like nice, interesting family dynamic where a mom doesn't want the grandmother to be around, but the child wants to reconnect with like the grandmother. But then like they're kind of like, she gives her the money outside of the school or whatever, and then she's like, why don't you just forget about Michael Myers? And it's just kind of like, I don't know. It was just kind of like fucking smashing like a hammer on top of a nerve. Like, why don't you just like, and it was so like dumb and not how people like act emotionally. Kind of, it's just kind of like, if something has tormented somebody's entire life, even like a hormonal teenager is not that tone deaf to be like, why don't you just get over like that very traumatic thing that happened to you? Like, it was just like, geez.
I don't think they did a great job of showing necessarily how her like obsession with defending against Michael Myers had really had a negative impact. Like they talk about it having a negative impact on the mom. Because she's like, I like took years of therapy, decades of therapy to get over the neuroses and paranoia that your mother or your grandmother implanted on me from, that basement and all this stuff going on there. But like in the present day that we're shown, Laurie Strode seems to be pretty well adjusted. Like, yeah, she's got a really like crazy house that she spent a lot of money on, but like, she can interact with other people. She like, they talk about her being agoraphobic, but in the scene where the daughter or the granddaughter is like, forget about Michael Myers, she's just hanging out in public, she's fine. Like, she's not like checking over her shoulder and shit. She's not like walking over with a gun, like, here's the money or whatever. Like, if they're going to use that as an excuse, then they needed to show us that. Otherwise, it needs to be that Laurie Strode is fine, and the mom is the one that has some misconceptions about how the whole thing is playing out. Because in the end, I ended up feeling bad for Laurie Strode because she's not really doing anything that wrong in my eyes. Like, she's definitely being crazy, but like, I mean, I know people that are building like doomsday shelters and shit that I used to work with.
It's exactly that. It's almost like it's written by Laurie Strode, like, where it's just kind of like, I built a nuclear like fallout shelter just in case, like, at the expense of my entire family, because I knew it was coming, and then it came, and we were all safe because of it, kind of. And it was just kind of like, okay, so it's weird. It's a weird story about trauma. Like, like trauma should have like some sort of negative effect on you and everything.
Yeah, she should have actually been afraid to leave the house.
Yeah, well, I feel like it was kind of similar to the podcasting situation where they just kind of needed like some sort of emotional attachment connection between the family and like some sort of weird turbulence between them as like just a jump off point to everything else that happened. So they kind of felt like it felt rushed. A lot of this stuff in the movie just kind of felt like, well, what do we need to get to that point? Oh, we'll just make it so that she had a weird...
They're trying to set up for this, what is a very awesome ending to this movie. I feel like they're just like a draft or two away from getting us there emotionally with them.
But were you guys annoyed like I was that they called her grandmother? The daughter referred to her as Mom, did you call grandmother?
Oh, I didn't even hear that. Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought it was like so fucking annoying.
Grandma.
No, she said, did you call grandmother? Mom, is grandmother coming? You said you talked to grandmother. Like, ugh. I didn't like that.
Like, there are some stuff with this script, like, I'm not going to call it like a great or a fantastic script, but it's definitely not like awful in all senses of the word. Like, it creates a lot of interesting situations, and I think there are some times where it is like there is a good like emotional setup for things, maybe not a payoff, but like like when like the first scene with like the dad and the mom when they're all getting ready for school or whatever, and the dad is kind of like expressing his doubts about Cameron, her new boyfriend. He's like, oh well, I know that family, and he seems nice now, but like just wait until you're knocked up or whatever, and he knows sort of what that kid sort of has lurking in his genetics, so to speak. And then when so like we end up meeting Cameron, we like Cameron, he's like nice, for us, we think they're a good couple, and then he ends up turning into a complete douchebag when he gets drunk at that one party. And like without that initial setup scene of like planting that seed of doubt, like that would kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, but I mean, was that all just so that her phone gets fucked up and they can't contact her?
I think so. That's where I think that the payoff is not theirs, because like they turn the boyfriend into a complete douche.
They don't even kill him.
That's fine. I'm fine with him turning into a douche. Yeah, fucking kill him. Like,
they don't even
let us
kill
have
him.
a death where we're like, hell yeah, like fucking destroy him. And then they have his like best friend character, who's pretty funny. I think he adds a lot of the especially his scene.
He made me super uncomfortable to look at him. Like he was a very odd looking person.
I feel like I recognize him from somewhere.
Yeah,
else.
I
don't know
did
if he
too,
played
but
something
He's
when he was
definitely been
younger.
in something,
But he's good. He's got a lot of charisma, and like you end up sort of starting to root for him when he's like in like the friend zone a little bit and being like, like you deserve someone better. And then they kind of make him have a douchey turn where like he oversteps his bounds, he's drunk, and like that's whatever. But he doesn't apologize or anything. She kind of just like runs off. And then when he's sitting there, he's like almost trying to guilt her into coming back and like blowing him or something. He's like, "Oh, there's all these girls at the dance, and they got me so horny, really and I was chubbing up and stuff like that." And it's like, so then they give him a douchebag turn, and then he's the one that gets killed. It's like, yeah, kill the boyfriend, let him like be a good guy and maintain his like good guyness. And you can still kill him, but we won't want him to die.
Right.
Like
I say kill them all. Make them all douches. Kill them all. I don't really care. It's just the boyfriend thing just felt like that's a missed opportunity. The whole point of that was just so he threw the phone.
And he never even comes back, so I have to imagine something got cut somewhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Or it was just
unless I do also know that they wrote 2 movies and they planned initially to film them back to back.
Oh, really?
And then they were kind of like, let's pump the brakes. What if nobody likes the first one and then we have to wait a year for this movie that we know is bad to come out?
Wow, yeah.
So they have plans for another one.
Oh, well, that's
cool.
And
I'll see another one. Fuck yeah.
End.
Blumhouse said as long as this one does well, they'll obviously do another one.
Blumhouse will do anything.
Yeah, they really
They're
will.
making a Happy Death Day 2.
To you. Happy Death Day to you.
I missed that trailer. I'm so
dude,
sad.
It looked really bad.
What happens in it? Is it
looks
just
the same
It's
thing?
literally the
is
same
it a
thing.
teaser trailer or was it
No, it was like a
full trailer.
2-minute trailer.
I need to watch it.
Initially, it starts
we
out, and
reviewed that.
you think
Yeah.
that the one kid with like the dyed hair who keeps barging in on them in the morning, the guy's roommate. You think that it's going to be that he is getting the repetition of the Groundhog Day thing, then,
Right.
But he's just having like deja vu or something, and then she gets sucked back into it, and she's literally reliving the same day from the first one. Oh, God. So it's going to be even more repetitive than the first one was.
Yeah,
And it's like it's funny. It's funny in the trailer because she's like yelling at everyone, like, "Yeah, fucking, I know the environment, whatever." But then like that's still going to be the rest of the movie is her like because she's still stuck in that same. It's just too much.
Yeah. Sidebar: they talk about how she should kill herself in the to restart the day. And instead of choosing like the easiest ways to kill yourself, shoot yourself in the head, whatever, like the easy ones. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put a hanger in a fucking
Toaster,
hair dryer in a bathtub, and I'm gonna like jump off this high building." It's like all like the most torturous shit you could do to yourself is like the one she chose. I don't know. It looked really bad.
It looks like it'll be funny, but it's not a scary movie. Like funny in the same way the first one was, where it's goofy,
like a bad, like,
really, really campy. Like they know exactly what they're doing. It's
a $4 million
They're playing up
budget.
that PG-13 and
yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like it
was made for middle schoolers.
$4 million budget that makes like $120 million. It's like, of course, Blumhouse was like, "Yeah, baby, let's do it again." Like,
that opened at number 1 the week just out of nowhere.
Fucking how?
I mean, there wasn't much else, but
Still.
it made a solid like 29 million, which is like what I think Night School opened at.
That's crazy.
Like a Kevin Hart movie.
Yeah.
And Happy Death Day had nobody.
is this Halloween's rated R, right?
Yeah, I think so. Going back to the grandma and her like kind of issues with the daughter. So she shows up like at the house when they find out Michael breaks out of whatever, mental institution, transportation thing. And she ends up going over to the daughter's house and kind of sneaking in and pretending like, "I got you. You weren't prepared. You have no security footage, da 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 da." And instead of being like, "Look, there's a real concern. This guy broke out. He killed people already.
Right.
He's working his way back here. We need to be safe." She's just like, "You need to be safe." Like she's just like ranting and raving and like pointing the gun at the husband and stuff. And it's like you could have gotten through to them if you just explained what the fuck the situation was. And for somebody who seems sort of like rationally crazy the whole movie, it's like she kind of like loses her fucking shit for a second and like can't just explain what the situation is. That really bothered me. Because the daughter would have understood more so if you were like, "Look, he broke out. He's on the loose. He's going to come here. We need to figure this out."
They do that all the time in movies where people just can't properly explain themselves.
She didn't even fucking
and that's
try,
the only
though.
reason-
That's
the
what
only
bothered
reason
me.
that any kind of situation arises.
I also don't know why. I couldn't understand why she wasn't just like, "Drive east." you know, kind of
leave
thing.
the fucking state.
But like she knows, she's like, I pray every night that Michael Myers breaks out so that I can kill him.
Well, that was a stupid thing to pray for.
That was the funniest line in this movie.
But then, and then as we get to know the psychiatrist who gets shot and then is out of commission for a while, whatever.
Bounces back very quick.
We kind of learn a valuable piece of information from him, kind of about Michael Myers' diagnosis, where like it's kind of like it's the victim and the predator kind of. It's kind of like he's back out here. Like the only thing keeping him and her going is this kind of like relationship that they have. Whatever, but it's just kind of like she kind of knows that too. She's like, Michael Myers is coming for me. It's like, why do you invite your family to where Michael Myers is coming?
Yeah,
I didn't kind of.
Well, does she understand that part of it yet?
I don't know.
I think maybe she doesn't.
Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she thinks she has
because she thinks she's hunting him.
I also didn't like. Yeah, he breaks out. He kills people at the gas station. He's just on the loose. Next time we see him, he's fucking running amok on Halloween, right? He's just in a residential area. He's just walking into houses, killing people. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character knows he's out there. Probably safely to assume that she knows he's going to go to these highly populated areas at the time. And she's driving around in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, when she's listening to the police monitor or whatever, she's just driving in, like, a completely abandoned area. There's nobody there. There's no lights.
Nobody's trick-or-treating where she's
driving. And then they're like, you know, we have a domestic violence call on 637, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, I'm going to throw it into gear and go to where all the people are.
Right.
Like, why weren't you just patrolling that area to begin with if you're so concerned about what's happening? So it seems like she just has like some blind spots in like she's like super prepared in some ways, and other ways it's like, why wouldn't you think of that? It seems like a pretty obvious fucking thing.
I thought it was real dumb, like you were saying before, that the stoner kid dies off camera.
Yeah,
because like I thought they set it up where like I like him in this movie, I like his girlfriend in this movie, I like their sort of relationship they have going on. We're rooting for them like as people. I was like kind of upset that they died so early in the movie because they were pretty funny. I wanted them to be.
It seemed like they were going to have
a few
bigger
more mileage, you know, laughs wise out of them, and then kill them off later, and we'll actually really feel something. So like the girlfriend's getting like, you know, the shit stabbed out of her, and he has this moment where he's like, oh, I don't know if like I want to go up there, and then he goes fuck it, and we think he's gonna run, and he grabs the knife and he runs in, and I'm like, show me that. Like, I want to see that. Like, him running into this house, like,
just
trying to do
killed
whatever.
immediately.
Right? Like, I don't know. Like, it seemed dumb to me to, like, give him this moment of, like, you know, heroism, which, like, seems sort of weird for this, like, genre. Usually, in that situation, the boyfriend goes, fuck it, and runs. To have that twist and not actually show.
It felt like that might have gotten cut. Or that
I
was
think what they wanted to do,
left out for the reveal.
They wanted to have the reveal of him being stabbed through whatever. Which, I mean, I like that. I think that's supposed to be an homage to the first one. I think something like that happens in the first one.
It seems familiar.
But let someone else die that way.
It's just kind of like the
douchey boyfriend die that way.
It's just kind of like the dancing kids, like Grandpa or whatever. It's just kind of like the only, like, he disappears, we don't hear from him for a while, and then like the sheriff investigates.
But those are like no-name people. Like, I'm fine with them dying off camera more than I am for someone who's like,
definitely right. We do the
one
work.
of Allison's like close friends, you know.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing too. They establish this close relationship between them, then they kill him off. And I know there's like shit going on. It's not like she has time to be like, where are my friends? They're dead. But like, it just seemed like why develop those relationships if you're just going to kill those people
she's never
going
to get to react to them.
Yeah, like what's the point of introducing them?
They set up a whole.
The only person she sees dead is the like best friend of her boyfriend.
Yeah,
right,
not
really her. friend.
No, and they set up a whole like, oh, come over after the dance.
Yeah,
you know? And it's just kind of like, you want them to come back and discover the dead people instead of the police chief who knows what's going on. You know, it's just like.
And also had a clear shot at Michael Myers' head, and then waited till he walked down the stairs and then fired two off. And it was like, why did you?
Also,
Michael Myers is like walking so slow, and he's like,
Michael, stop, Michael.
I mean,
that'll work.
They shoot him a lot. They hit him at like.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you hit him right in the head. In this movie.
They hit him with a car at like 80 miles an hour, and it's just kind of like, He's just gonna be unconscious.
Wait,
for
so
like 15
I have
minutes.
I feel like I've always been a little bit confused as to like Michael Myers' sort of supernatural power to absorb pain. You know, like
I thought so much that was gonna be like a trick or treater when they hit him with the car and they kill somebody, and I was like, oh, that's not Michael Myers.
I had a moment where I thought Michael Myers was really dead, and the psychiatrist was gonna be Michael Myers.
Yeah, no, I thought that.
And I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah, I hated that. Something about that, like, I can't put my finger on like a specific example, but there's definitely like a method to writing movies from like the 60s and 70s where they like establish technically motivation for things that they want characters to do, but it's just not realistic. It's just not something a character would do. And that's what like this felt like. It felt like something from like a like Grindhouse movie in like the 70s where like you had the scientists say the words of you know, I want to know what it feels like, you know, when he kills someone. I want to know what that is like. But then to see him like actually do that, I'm not buying that. Like it just seems so out of left field.
It like came like a knife came out of his like
had one in his pen.
Yeah, it was real corny, and it came out of left field, and I don't know, and it ultimately ended up serving no real purpose besides like it killed the police chief, and
but I feel like that's another one of those things where you could have gotten to that point without that weird little side bar.
Killing the police chief, I mean, apart from it being the scientist, I thought was kind of a pretty good twist, just because there were other scenes that they shot like between Michael and the police chief that are in the trailer that just don't show up in this movie at all. I don't know if it was a scene cut from. There's a scene where like the guy Michael is like right around the corner from him, and I think like grabs him or something in the trailer. There's like a physical interaction between them, and I kept waiting for that to happen. So I was like not scared for the police chief until I saw something that was gonna make me think that scene was coming, and then guy just like shanks him right in the neck, and I'm like, oh, okay. It caught me by surprise. It was
her in the back of the car next to Michael Myers was pretty fucking terrifying. Yeah. Like that whole time I was like, she needs to get the fuck out of the car.
There's something you said about like kind of like when we're just talking about the when they hit Michael Myers with the car, and you're just kind of like, is there some sort of supernatural element going on? It's just kind of like Jamie Lee Curtis's character has done so much preparation to this house, and he's still just kind of like, it's like she's got like fucking her windows fucking metal barred or whatever, but it's just like he's still like his fucking hands fucking fly through these metal reinforced windows, and I'm still just like, that's not clever, really. I'm just kind of like, I guess. Yeah. It's also like when the kitchen island cabinet kind of like goes over the floor and then he just rips it up, and I'm just like,
with the door, the thing she has is she has the actual metal door in front of it,
but the glass is exposed.
But they do set that up because the husband goes outside and leaves the door wide open.
But you can see like the diamond kind of pattern like metal that's like reinforced through each side of the glass kind of. It's just like, it seems like it's reinforced through the door. It's just like insane strength.
Yeah.
Like fucking throw your
well, I mean, he puts his foot through someone's brain in one.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That looks so bad too. It was just like,
it got a huge reaction. I did exactly what they wanted it to do.
It went from human head to spaghetti in like one cut. It was just so funny.
Yeah, I think like there's earlier in the movie, the fucking podcast guy like comes into the bathroom with a crowbar, just rocks Michael Myers in the head with a crowbar, undisturbed. He just fucking bashes the dude's head. It didn't even faze him. But then like later in the movie, he's fighting with Jamie Lee Curtis, and she bites his hand, and he's like, no, and he like releases and it's like, you just like, you pick it. Are you like completely unsusceptible to any pain, or like does some shit get to you?
It needed to stick to its own rules.
Yeah, and also like, so I kind of hate the trend of like Home Aloneing every movie, like, oh, we have a fortified house and it's got booby traps in it. Like, I feel like that's like a lazy like kind of thing. But why wouldn't she had 40 fucking years? Why wouldn't her house be way more prepared? Like, it was pretty prepared.
It was. I think my problem is that like they show like all this stuff that she has in the house, this huge like arsenal of guns. And like, I'm fine if like everything goes to shit if they give us like a reason, like, you know, he caught her off guard or something.
It seems like everything went according to plan, and it still wasn't.
But why?
And it
why
wasn't
wouldn't
like
you
it wasn't even like Michael like outsmarted her.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know?
That's why like when he sticks his, I wanted some form of outsmarting to happen.
But why wouldn't you have like
or even
a
just
real
coincidence, like
panic room?
like that's why I liked the dad going outside because it's
Right.
like they have this whole system and he fucked it up because he went outside and didn't close the door.
Right.
Michael Myers should have just essentially got into the house that way rather
Right,
than brute force him through the door.
Right. Yeah.
Well, she did put the thing back on the didn't she put the metal bar back on?
He's fucking busted through the door.
No, well, no, he broke through the window and he reached in and pulled the metal bar off, which he could have done either way, whether she was there or not, because the glass, I guess. But
well, there's like the metal framed door because like when she opens the wood door, that should be closed and locked.
True.
Right.
Good point.
But because the dad ran outside, so
like,
it is sort of that.
Why wouldn't you have like a real ass panic room that's just like fucking metal,
steel
and
titanium box?
Like, why wouldn't you have something like that? And also, if all the rooms they have like these like steel traps that kind of come down. When he's in the house, why wouldn't you just have like a fucking like one button and all the doors locked down? And now whatever room he's in, he's not getting the fuck out.
That like turns all the lights off inside, turns the
floodlights
outside, and then there was something else that it did. It started setting off an alarm. I think there was like unless that was another movie that was playing in my theater that I was here. I heard like a.
Oh yeah, I don't think it played anything. I don't think there was.
That might have been another movie playing really loud in the theater.
Yeah,
because it was when she was walking around the house real quiet, and I heard like it sounded like a might have been an actual fire alarm.
I don't remember that.
Mike's theater was on fire at that point. Yeah.
But it's like she's in the panic room or whatever, the basement area, and Michael Myers, so she gets like beat up or whatever. She goes back down to the panic room, and she's down there with her daughter, and Michael Myers is walking around upstairs, and she's like, shh. Yeah, she's like, shh. Boom! It's like, why did you try and shoot him through the fucking floor? Now he knows there's a thing under the floor. Mm-hmm. And then she like immediately abandoned. She's like, I'm gonna get him. It's like he's better at you than this. This is his whole thing. Mm-hmm. He fucking finds people and he kills people.
Right.
You don't. Mm-hmm. Like, let him come to you if he's going to, and be prepared with some guns and kill him.
Like and I think they had an avenue to really do it really easily, where like they're both in the basement, then the daughter comes back.
Yeah,
and it's like
and now you have to leave.
And now it's I'm not going to stay down here while Michael Myers murders my granddaughter. Yeah. I'm going upstairs to fuck him up. Rather than there's nobody upstairs besides Michael Myers. I have to finish this. Like
right, especially when it's horrifying. She feels unarmed and like scared. Like I was talking about, like one of the most, I think like probably the most scary part of this movie is when she's very slowly checking through each room that's upstairs.
Yeah,
kind of, and,
that was pretty good.
Putting the doors down, and then like this scene is so long. I might have made like a little more of a cut like with this, but then she goes into the one room with the.
He doesn't need all those rooms. There's nothing in them.
And then she goes into the one room with the mannequins, and then it's just kind of like looking around, look in the closet, look in the other half of the closet, look at the mannequins, look at the closet, look at the mannequins, look at the closet, look outside, look like outside the door. It's a lot. And it builds tension pretty masterfully, like more than like any other part of this movie builds tension. But I was just kind of like, this is long. Like, I don't know. But
also he was just standing behind one of the mannequins.
Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't see him? He's a giant fucking person with a crazy mask on. I feel like he sticks out a little bit if you have a flashlight directed at him. Like,
I thought they did really good camera work in this. I thought.
Oh yeah,
It was good horror camera work without being like, it wasn't the cliche like, oh, we're gonna spin around this character and then you see that the guy behind
you, right?
Like we were always looking where they wanted us to look, and it was like,
I think they did a lot of that, but it was like misdirection.
He wasn't there.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I mean, all horror movies are doing that now.
You kept waiting for it, and it wasn't there.
They know that we know that someone should be there.
Yeah.
And now it's the scares that he's not there.
Yeah, my favorite part of the movie is like a really small, weird part of the movie, but the score throughout is fucking awesome, right? Mm-hmm. From the theme to like all like the weird.
I didn't like the
stuff.
opening theme though during the credits.
Oh, I love that. That's like the theme, though.
The original.
Yeah.
It's just got like the like little sample.
Yeah, I love that. John Carpenter wrote it.
I did like the like reverse time lapse of the pumpkin going on.
Yeah, the opening theme was awesome, I thought. Yeah. They were like just the title screen and everything. Also like that black on yellow, like kind of vintage look is really cool. Mm-hmm. But when the daughter, so he like stomps on the dude's head outside of the grandma's house, and the daughter gets out of the car and runs into the woods. And then they kind of like cut back and forth from that to a bunch of other stuff. And there's one cut where the camera's like following her and she's running through the woods and the synth is like really starting to swell. That part was fucking awesome. And I wish they had done more in the woods.
More texture and whatnot.
Just more like have
they have
him
the one
follow
thing where
her
she
for a little
finds
bit or
like
something.
the target practice.
Yeah.
place, and she's like freaking out there. It was a little manufactured.
And we're like, the audience knows they don't pose a threat. You know, like it's just kind of like.
Yeah,
like it's a scary thing to find if you're that individual.
I really liked when he's just going on his random killing spree throughout the neighborhood.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
And then we see like he's watching the lady through the window who's on the phone. We like see his reflection, and then he like steps away, and the camera just holds there, and everything is like this big wonder where like he goes around the side of the house. We see a shadow on like the neighbor's house, and then he's like behind her as she's looking out the window. The knife like goes through her throat. It was just a really nice. This is what I'm talking about with like the great camera work.
Definitely.
Yeah, more
really
of that
great.
kind of shit would have been cool.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like in terms of like I thought most of the killings in this were pretty like there's something fresh about each and every one of them. I thought. I think they took it too far when he killed the two cops again off screen, and when the dad goes out and finds the cops and they've got like the flashlight, like he turned them into like human jack-o'-lanterns. That didn't make sense to me because he's not someone that's like I don't think he feeds off of the fear of other people. He literally just feeds off killing other people.
Yeah, that seemed like
because like he does something sort of similar earlier in the movie, but I liked it where when he like drops the teeth. Like when he's going like door by door in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
that
he's going
seemed
door
like
by door in the
savagery.
bathroom, it wasn't him like, oh, I'm going to open this door. He's just looking for her. He's just driven by this desire to kill. And for me, it's almost like when he's dropping the teeth, it's almost like his version of like show and tell, where he's not even like trying to like get a fear response from her. He's just kind of like, look what I did.
Yeah.
Look what I just fucking did. Like
like there's no reason for it. He's just kind of doing it.
He's stunted in that way because he killed someone when he was 6 and he's been doing it ever since. That's all he knows. So he doesn't have any other kind of relationships with people. It's literally just, hey, cool. I've got some teeth. I'm going to kill you next because that's what I do.
Right, yeah.
But when he does the thing with like the jack-o'-lantern cops, like that's just like, he doesn't stage any of his other like killings that he does.
They
He
also
just
didn't
kills
really
them.
show it enough to like have the payoff be worth.
It was filmed a little bit weirdly.
Yeah,
like,
they
you could
kinda
tell they
like,
were carved up,
and then that
I'm
was the
like,
end
oh,
of
is
it.
that a flashlight shining up into them? And yeah, I could have done without that. They could have just been killed in a gruesome way. He doesn't stage anybody else when he kills them.
Yeah.
The dad was kind of shoved into the closet, which was
was
also...
Oh, that's true. But
that
that
was
was
just hiding him, though. I think.
Yeah, that was just like also weird that like,
I think it was like a misdirection.
yeah,
Like, 'cause
Michael Myers
she was
just
following
kind
the
of
blood.
dragged the dad upstairs with him and put him in the closet. Again, I don't really mind that as much as like peeling somebody's skin off their face and then positioning
that's also-
a
that would take a
flashlight
while.
and- yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
I'd like. Obviously, like I think most of the stuff about the ending is pretty cool. There's just a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
But I really like these sort of like mini twist of like when the granddaughter and the daughter get in the basement and she's kind of like, all right, now I gotta defend my daughter. She grabs her gun that's got like the name on it. And, you know, she's kind of like owning up to, you know, my mom was right. This is what she prepared me for throughout the childhood. And then she's like aiming the gun. And she does the whole like, I can't do it. And then the switch from that to like, gotcha, motherfucker.
Yeah, that was
that
really
was a
good.
cool mini twist.
Yeah,
that like
definitely.
that feels like a really cool heroic moment.
Yeah, that was like a great horror movie, like
Yeah.
fuck you moment.
And then obviously he's still not dead, and then they've got to try and finish him off from there. It was cool
But
to
you know
have
what?
like all three of them trying to kill him at the same time. There's the whole generational thing is kind of cool.
My biggest thing about this movie, and you know, I guess this fits with like every slasher movie because I think it's just the genre itself. It infuriates me. And I know it's just the movie, the way it goes. You shoot him, he falls down the stairs. We run away. Fucking keep shooting him. Hit him. Punch him. Stab him. Whatever you got. Keep doing
That's
it.
like when,
and I know
when,
that's
he gets,
the genre.
when he gets knocked by the cop car, the cop's like, yeah, I'm going to blow this motherfucker's like brains out.
Yeah, but then
Before
do
the
it.
scientist, well, the scientist stops him. He wants to, and he gets...
I feel like he had like a good couple seconds before the scientist.
Well, yeah.
Like,
even
why
in-
would
even
you
in the house
hesitate?
before, he's like, Michael!
Yeah. It's just like, why would you hesitate? And I
Fucking
just
stormtrooper.
I find that shit infuriating. I know it's just kind of the genre, and the
Yeah.
movie doesn't really work if you don't let that kind of pass. Because that shit's just always going to happen in those types of movies, like missed opportunities, basically. But it is infuriating to me.
I also felt like the basement and like being a trap was like, I loved like Judy Greer's kind of like delivery of like,
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love her. I think she's awesome.
I was waiting for like when the trap closes and they like leave him in there to like burn alive. I was waiting for her to be like, "You can say goodbye to these, Michael." Michael. Yeah.
Mix on that level.
But it's I don't know. It didn't seem like a clever twist where it's kind of like our panic room is actually a killing machine. Kind of. I was just kind of like, okay, so you want to be caught and purposely have the roles reversed where he's in the panic room and you guys
But
aren't.
the whole house was like, every room was like that. They had the gas flame thing set up in every room.
Yeah, because the whole house
That's-
catches on fire.
Yeah, so I think the plan would be to trap him in whatever
Trap
room
him
he's
in-
in.
And
Okay,
she's talking
right.
specifically about the basement.
Gotcha.
The
Yeah,
whole
like
house.
all the whole house
that
is a
makes
trap.
more sense to me. Yeah.
But I mean, clearly he gets out somehow, and
Yes.
there's another movie.
For the
But I
second-
like the abrupt ending. I was waiting for like the fade out, the follow up. You know, like now we're all happy. My mom's satisfied. She can live a normal life. She has a real house, and we all get along. But I'm glad that it kind of just zoomed in on the bloody knife and then ended. Like, that was kind of cool.
Or like, yeah, I like even though it's modern and they're all sitting in the back of like a fucking like fruit delivery truck in like midnight or something.
They're in Illinois. That stuff's there.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I do like that shot where they're kind of like all that's very like end of the first like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where she's just kind of sitting in the back of like the pickup truck and it's like fucking speeding off. Like, that was very kind of that was a callback.
Yeah,
to older horror films,
to a more simple time.
I don't know. That's just how horror movies are. But I was kind of like, ugh, I just want to see this motherfucker burn alive. And obviously,
yeah, they're not going to show that because they need to maintain that he can get out.
Right.
Or the next movie's going to start with like burning rubble and be like, we weren't able to find a body or something.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis is like, oh shit, I had like a window down there that you could just kind of crawl out.
Oh, I forgot about the other door.
Yeah. Like we have like large spikes that trap him in there, and the whole house catches on fire and crumbles on top of him. Oh, but there's also that window that you could just really easily crawl out.
Knowing Michael Myers, he would just like jump up and his head would burst through the floor and he'd just jump like 20 feet in the air.
Yeah, like fly away.
Fucking free willies out of the basement. Like,
we're like the psychiatrist who had his brain stomped in is going to be alive and can help him get out somehow. Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to get into some ratings for this movie?
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm going to give Rotten Tomatoes. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 80% based on 209 reviews, with an average rating of 7 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, Halloween largely wipes the slate clean after decades of disappointing sequels, ignoring increasingly elaborate mythology in favor of basic, yet still effective ingredients. Just like this cake. Let me pull up the sheet so I can record this. Any volunteers to go first?
I'll go first. I don't mind
Joe's
going.
ready.
Yeah. So my rating is completely based off of kind of the genre itself. Like, I don't think this is a great movie. I think there's a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
But it's also fun. And in an era of like horror movies just being overproduced and like ridiculously stupid half the time, this is kind of like an old school horror movie.
Right.
So based on that alone, I'm going to give this, I want to say 3.5, but I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a high rating. I understand that. I don't think, it's not going to win Best Picture or anything like that. It's certainly not a great movie, but it's fun. It's good to watch in a theater with a bunch of people who are getting scared. And I just think Mike Myers himself, it's a good slasher flick, Right. It does what it does really well. I mean, there's obviously shortcomings with like the script and some of the like sort of character building and emotional ties and everything like that. But what we came to see this movie for was Michael Myers just destroying people.
Yeah.
And they do a great job of establishing some sort of like fear around him and some good murder scenes and some good action. And, I think the core of it is enjoyable and fun, and it's a good slasher Halloween movie. I'm excited to see if they make another one, what that'll be like.
I'm sorry, you said 4?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of like also in the same place where I think horror has a different kind of scale in my head. Just kind of like, like your average release compared to something that is projected to win the best picture. Obviously, I'm going to critique something like that more hard, just I don't really hear, like, I mean, again, critics have really, I mean, what are we at, like an 80% or something?
Yeah, 80.
For this.
Started much higher. It kind of went down when it opened.
Definitely. But this is also like, I wasn't as crazy about like A Quiet Place or something. I was about to say, we've done, I was talking about this last night. I feel like we largely ignored horror before this season of our podcast, kind of. Like, this is our 4th horror movie this year, which is kind of crazy.
Although I think part of that is the
horror kind of...
Horror has been so good lately that now studios are like, we got to do a couple horror movies a year.
Right.
But I think, going back, there are good horror movies now, but there's just so many bad ones that I think it makes, like, this I don't think is a historically good horror movie, but right now I think it is a good horror movie. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
Because for every one of these, you get fucking Happy Death Day or whatever the fuck.
To you.
Yes. To you, yeah.
But I mean, I still had some sort of expectation of this. This is like a beloved franchise. It seemed like a great kind of crew, at least, was attached to this. They got Jamie Lee Curtis back in here and everything. Again,
the original Michael Myers too.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
And A Quiet Place was like also hard too, because it was just, there's so much like hype from like South by Southwest, where it was kind of like, John Krasinski is the second coming and he will now be the king of horror because he has directed this. And it was like, when you read that in every review and you walk into A Quiet Place, you're like, I better get my fucking mind blown. I better be cleaning my fucking brain off the back of my seat when I leave this. And then, like, you see that, and especially that ending was so fucking lackluster, and a lot of, like, everything that was happening. Like, I think that's why I gave it that, like, just a really middle-of-the-road kind of score. I did like this. It really hits, like, a nice stride sometimes, but I think it was just only above average. I think I'm going to give it 3 fingers. Again, I think there's so much you can do with this property, and this basically becomes like a retelling with kind of like a small hint or taste of kind of like, what if Jamie Lee Curtis was like a doomsday prepper, but for Michael Myers now? And it's just kind of like, I would have loved to see more of that. And it was just kind of like, that's it. Like, I don't know. Like, that's our idea.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it off on a 3. I was at a 3.5 earlier today, or like last night, or right after I saw it. But the more like you look back, and it's just kind of like, we just had so many complaints with this movie. It's just like, that didn't make sense. That didn't make sense.
It does what it's supposed to do well.
Right, but I think that like only puts it right above like middle of the road for me, horror.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it was what it was, I think, for me. Yeah.
I think we're basic, because I said 4, but I'm more 3.5, but I'm going to give it a 4, you know?
Right, yeah,
and you seem like
yeah.
You're like a 3.5, but you're going to give it a 3. So I feel like we're kind of on the same page.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'm a 3.5, and I'm going to give it a 3.5.
All right, we get the whole spectrum.
Perfect.
Yeah, right in the middle here. Yeah, like I think the big thing for me is that horror movies are so bad at nailing the ending. Where like even like Hereditary, which I fucking loved this year, most of my complaints are with like the ending of the movie, and I still kind of like the ending. I just don't think they nailed it. And like I think why The Witch is one of my favorite movies of the past like 5 years is because they fucking nailed the ending. This, I think they nailed the ending too. There's just, I agree. There's a lot. I have a lot of complaints with this movies, but I don't think they hold a lot of water. The complaints I have, they're very minute. Like the core of this movie is it's entertaining, whether it's scaring you, whether it's just kind of like our obsession with like gore, or whether it's like with some pretty solid comedy in this. Like I thought like the kid she's babysitting is really funny.
That was very funny.
Really great.
They had a lot of like funny, lovable characters in this, and then we get to see them get murdered, so you get like 2 for 1 there.
Right.
It's enjoyable throughout this whole movie, and it has a lot of great tension. I think it has fantastic camera work, where like even if the camera work isn't necessarily like leading you to a scare, it's just an interesting way to watch him do whatever he's doing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because he's this slow moving character, and there's some dumb things they could have done, just tracking behind him the entire time. It would have got real boring, where they were able to do some really inventive stuff just with like stationary shots in this movie. And a lot of times it would be like a tracking leading up to a stationary shot, and then it sits there and we watch what he does from there.
And then it would like pick back up.
Yeah. So a lot of cool stuff there. I thought it, it looked pretty cool throughout, or at least didn't look bad. And yeah, I mean, I was entertained. I thought they put the characters in interesting situations that were entertaining for us to watch them try to get out of. And there's still definitely a lot of complaints with this movie, but there's nothing that really ruined the experience for me. And the ending is the big thing. Like, I left the theater being like, that's the last thing you see, and it leaves a good impression when the ending is that good. Rather than like so many horror movies where the ending is like, well, what the fuck? Like, you guys had this awesome movie for 99% of it, and you couldn't figure out how to just like really nail that last 1%. So 3.5 fingers for me. Obviously, that's gonna stick with my score at 3.5 overall.
Yeah. Cool.
Podcast.
They do put a lot of the characters in like hard situations, like when the boyfriend has to talk to that babe in the fucking tiger body paint in a bikini. Are you not gonna cheat on your girlfriend?
Me, yeah.
I know, right?
That was the weirdest looking costume. I was like, what's going on there? It's just kind of like, oh, I'm wearing a bathing suit and somebody body painted me as a tiger.
Or when you're seeing all those girls dancing on the dance floor and you start chubbing up.
But this, geez, I mean, Venom made fucking $80 million its first week at the box office. If that can make a lot of money, people want to see movies in October, I guess. These
well,
movies
it's getting colder,
so much...
and this is like, how
cuffing
many times?
season,
How many times do you see a fucking trailer for
Bring your
something?
new man to the movie theater.
Bring that tiger bikini babe.
But this is like the perfect time of year to drop this movie. I hate seeing horror movies come out in June or fucking January. Put that shit out in October, right at the beginning of October.
Can you imagine a Hereditary release around like this?
Oh,
time?
it would have made so much money. People would have been so much more geared up for it. Instead of like June.
It came out, I think, like the first weekend of September or the last weekend of August or something like that. It was like, I think they knew it was going to dominate the box office for a while.
Right.
But
yeah, I thought we'd be getting a new It this year.
I guess that's next, because I think they're filming it now. They have
I thought they
have
kind of
stills of like Bill Hader on set with like the clown.
Is Bill Hader's playing the grown up version of the kid?
Bill or whatever the character's name
like
is.
the main kid.
I think the main guy, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see that. I mean, the first one was, that's a different story, but yeah, like I just hate seeing, like, this is the perfect time. I know it's called Halloween, but it's the perfect time to drop a movie like this. It's fun to see. People are going to, like, I think, they have those ties to this character and everything. It's going to do well.
They did a different name for this movie, though. You can't make a sequel that's the same name as the first
I'm
one.
into it. I like it. Same theme, same fucking name.
I don't really know.
I'm into it.
But yeah, I don't know. I like a kind of like clever title. I don't know, but again, when you're at the 17th installment, it's kind of like, what do you name this?
Well, if you're retconning the series, you could just call it Halloween too.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you're ignoring that those other ones ever happened.
True.
But then it would also just be the second
Or
Halloween.
like
Halloween
set
to
it like
you.
a day earlier and call it All Hallows Eve or something.
The night
All Saints
before
Day.
Halloween.
But yeah, it looks like Halloween is headed towards record-breaking 80 million. 80 million plus. So it might end up. We're recording this the weekend it's coming out on a Saturday. I think it just made like 33 million on Friday.
Nice.
So it could potentially beat Venom as well.
Good.
Yeah.
It was my theater was packed. We had to sit in the front row,
mine
and
too.
my neck
Same.
fucking hurts still.
Yeah.
I fucking hate when like the theater is packed for like the first opening weekend of a movie, and there's just like single seats everywhere. Like fucking everyone crammed to the middle.
Dude,
if it's like opening night, like
sit next to some stinky man next to me.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I went with my friends Mike Degler, who's been on the podcast, and my friend Dylan, and we got there early enough that it wasn't quite packed yet, and we found 3 seats just like at the end of a row, and right when the trailers are starting to run, also it was like literally 25 minutes of trailers, like good God.
Dude, I got there so late.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you
I'm
can
gonna miss the
literally
first
show up a
5
half hour later and you're still...
That's literally what I did. I showed up 30 minutes late, and I was like, I've timed this pretty perfectly before or whatever. Like, now that I see movies like 3 times a week sometimes, and it's just kind of like, I know how to perfectly get in here. I fucking missed my window by like 10 minutes. I walked in, they're still playing the fucking like AMC, like, oh, like we're getting ready for the movie. Welcome to AMC. I'm like,
it's
this
insane.
is a fucking 35 minutes
insane.
after the showtime. I should be late for this movie.
Yeah.
Was not.
But so this like couple walks in and they're like looking around and they clearly see 2 seats next to Dylan, who's on my right. So they're like, oh, do you mind? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, sorry, we're going to sit next to you, whatever. And they sit down and like the movie kind of gets going and the woman sitting next to Dylan is like, they didn't rip my ticket. Why didn't they rip my ticket? And he's like, I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. And then there was like a couple.
Calm down, lady. You're scaring me.
Yeah. There was a couple times throughout where she would like turn to him and say something. And he'd be like, I don't, okay. And like the one time when she's like, I've been praying for Michael Myers to come back. And the dude's like, well, that was a stupid thing to pray for. Me, Dylan, and Mike all started laughing. And then the girl turns to Dylan and she's like, they're going to kill him. They're going to kill Michael Myers, right? And Dylan's like, I don't fucking know. Like, this was like a woman. She was like a 30-year-old woman.
Tell me it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and apparently she kept saying to him, like, oh, sorry, my husband's angry at me because I'm drunk right now, and like shit like that. And then we're waiting outside the theater at the end of the night, just like talking about what was happening in the movie. And they walk to the car, and she gets in the driver's seat. So,
she starts fucking flying down the highway and it's like it's fucking running people over.
So that lady was annoying.
Don't drink and drive. A message from How Many Fingers.
Don't drink and go see Halloween. Just keep to yourself.
All right. Well, I think that's about all we got here. Let's do some last plugs for O Word. Where can people find that?
You go to O Word Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, or at @JoeManno_ on Instagram and Twitter, and you can look up the podcast on, iTunes or Stitcher or whatever.
OWordPodcast.wordpress.com?
Yeah, .wordpress.com. I'm not paying for that domain name. You kidding me? There's only one of me, motherfucker.
And for us, as always, you can find everything at howmanyfingerspodcast.com. Check out a review last week of Venom with insert guest name here, Joe.
John, jeez, really put me on the spot. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Venom with John, who is not here yet. And then next week we're reviewing A Star Is Born.
A Star Is Born.
Lady Gaga.
Yes. Yeah. We are on our game this episode, baby.
We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.
Bye.